The evil
has landed.
Queens of the Stone Age.
Villains.
So this is possibly my most anticipated album this year, which is pretty crazy since all the albums that have been coming out this year. There's just been so much good content with these past months, and yes, I am a huge fan of Queens of the Stone Age, and I had to review this album. I mean, you can clearly see behind me, right? I mean, look at that. That is one sexy album cover for like clockwork. And like clockwork is like in my top 10 albums of all time. I think it's really beautifully written, really beautifully composed, and it just has this overall atmosphere of death. Yeah, that sounds really dark. And I did review the first single off this the way I used to do, which I really liked. I really liked the swing rock aspect to it. It's a very lyrically easy song, and just it doesn't really have much of a dynamic to it. That's probably why people don't like it as much, because it doesn't feel like your typical Queens of the Stone Age affair, which I understand. But how does the rest of the album hold up? Let's find out. The album quickly starts with Feet Don't Fail Me, and this is easily a great starter to the album. It really sets the groove tone of the whole album, and has these nice synths building into this really nicely composed song. And the synths here feel very sci-fi-esque, and the guitars feel like a normal Queens of the Stone Age affair, to me at least. The interesting also part about this album, it's produced by Mark Ronson, and he's known for Uptown Funk, and honestly I think it was the right choice if they were going to go for a more groovy tone for this album, which they definitely succeed at. And with this album, they weren't really going for like how they went with like Clockwork. They wanted to do something different, something more groovy, and this is what we get. And with Feet Don't Fail Me, it kind of feels like a David Bowie song, and lyrically, it's fun, and it's there, and the song's just a groovy track. And probably one of my least favorite songs on this album is Domesticated Animals. And while I do like the lyrics, I do not like that chorus line. Dizzy, dizzy, yeah. That was really cringeworthy. Queens, come on, you're better than that. But still carrying that like David Bowie feel, and I really do like that because I do love David Bowie. Who doesn't like David Bowie? And I just don't like the overall transversal of this song. It just feels very kind of bland in a way, and kind of like it been there, done that. It's just the only track that really makes me feel that way in this album, because the rest of the album plays out pretty well. I really like the slow burn Fortress. I think that was a pretty good little slow dance tune. I could definitely see people dancing this kind of slowly, kind of like, you know, they're kind of just grooving there. It's just made for that. It's really good, and just like trying to take this girl's fortress down. That's kind of like what the song is talking about, at least in my interpretation of the song. The only problem is the song doesn't go anywhere interesting. Once you've heard the first like 2 minutes of the song, you kind of can predict the formula with it, and that's kind of sad, because with some Queens of the Stone Age songs that I've heard previously, because I love them, I love listening to their music's pretty dynamic, and how they approach things, and with most of this album, there's not really a dynamic there. But also, you got these like songs like Head Like a Haunted House that just are just bangers and just crazy. I really like this feel of this song. It has like a aspect like the Clash would have with the album London Calling, and this is just some crazy jam. And we got the weirdly titled Un-Reborn again, which is basically saying you can become young again somehow. Has some cool synth solos in there. Then we get the second single on this album, The Evil Has Landed, and it kind of just has this Led Zeppelin vibe to it, and it's easily one of the better songs on the album. And I really do like when he's like, come close. It's kind of creepy, and how the vocal effects layer each other. I liked how it sounded with that. It actually took me a while to actually realize how good this song was. Like, at first I just didn't like it. I don't know why. It just felt like, I don't know, just a typical Queens of the Stone Age song. It kind of does in some aspects. Then we get the song Villains of Circumstance, and it's a good closing track. It really, it's the most dynamic song on the album. It changes up like 3 times during its runtime, and I really like that. I really dug into that. And for better or worse, it's the least danceable tune on this album, which is a fitting end to the album though. It feels very in place with everything overall. So what can I really say about this album? Well, it took me at least 5 listens to really realize I like this album a lot. Like really, really a lot. Like if these songs were to play in concert, I'd definitely be dancing to them. They're probably the most danceable tunes that Queens of the Stone Age have ever produced. Okay, maybe Do It Again, Burn the Witch, and Sat by the Ocean, and No One Knows would probably be really good dancing songs too, just to kind of fist bump in the air. Fist bump, I mean, not bump. But I think these songs are really fun, and they still have that Queens of the Stone Age vibe mixed in with some other stuff. And I just really like how the lyrics play out for the most part. I don't think they're really the most passionate lyrics I've ever heard from them, but I don't think that was kind of the point here. I think they were just focusing on that groove vibe here. I like how Josh Homme kind of changes his vocal style with like sounding kind of like The Clash a little bit and David Bowie, and then just sounding like his normal stuff too. And honestly, this album has like a high replay ability here. It's so good, and I don't really have any problems with most of the songs on this album. I think the instrumentation's pretty solid here, and the mixing, and it's just overall a great experience. I don't think it's their best album, but I do think it's their most grooviest album. Obviously. This one's kind of a hard scoring one for me. Like, I was thinking 4.5 out of 5. And then I was also leaning towards 5 out of 5, but it's in that range somewhere. I feel like within time I will really have a solid opinion on it, but as of now, like after 5 listens to this thing, I just feel like it's in between there, because I don't know how long I'm going to be listening to this album, like how long I'm going to be obsessing over it, but as of right now, I love it. I think it's great. I definitely recommend you listen to it. Give it a chance. It's different. It's not your usual Queens of the Stone Age affair, but you're gonna get something out of it. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video and have a good one, and peace.